A wise old queen who taught me that I had a duty to live, to conquer hate with knowledge and sincerity.
Hey, howdy, hey, awesome people of the internet. Wolfman47- here. So the day I'm recording this video on, I went to see the film Queer with my friend Clank Soka. Those of you who don't know, me and Clank Soka go to the cinema quite a lot over the weekend to see different films. He's not the only person I go and see films with. There are other people as well, but he's like the main person. Anyway, so Queer is by the guy that who I can't pronounce the name very well, but he gave us films like Poor Things, Challengers, and now this film. Poor Things being that one critically acclaimed film starring whoever the girl is called, Emma Stone, and it's basically a Frankenstein sort of story. And Challengers being that story about Zendaya playing this tennis player who has to train these two men and she falls in love. Speaking of love, this is Queer's bit of a romance story as well, but with some differences and has a few twists and turns as well. More towards the later part of the film, but we'll get to that in a bit. So Daniel Craig plays this character who is, I guess you could say, definitely well and truly into men, but he's not yet decided if he wants to be considered queer or gay or whatever else men loving men can be in the LGBTQ plus group, community, whatever you want to call it. So we see him have some one night stands with a couple of guys, and then he finds this one guy who I forget the name of the actor, but I'm just gonna call him by his character name, Eugene, who he instantly has an attraction to, although it's unclear as to whether Eugene himself is queer or whatever. Nevertheless, they spend a lot of time together, doing things in bed, and just exploring their neighborhood and then the rest of the world, doing various activities and so forth. And a lot of things come into play, and it soon becomes clear that Daniel Craig's character just has a thing going on in his head where he's not really touching him, but he's sort of thinking it. And then later on, as the film goes on, this film is kind of split into different chapters. Like, you got this one chapter, which is like the big main chapter that kind of establishes everything. Then you got this second chapter where they're traveling the world. This third chapter where they're in a jungle, and then the epilogue, which is set 2 years later. And each chapter just feels like it's trying to be a different kind of genre of film, but still keeping things consistent by making sure the story about these two characters keeps going. Because it kind of feels like a typical romance drama film in the first chapter, then a sort of traveling film in the second chapter, a jungle adventure kind of film in the third chapter, and then the epilogue set 2 years later brings it full circle. And it's the last two chapters where the sort of weird stuff happens, where you get all these weird things going on and everything. But things that happen in the jungle, these things are going to happen. Now, talking about about all the different characters that you see in the film. The film doesn't rely too much on CGI or makeup. The only one that really has like any kind of makeup is Jason Schwartzman's character. Because usually Jason Schwartzman, the actor, who's the nephew to Francis Ford Coppola, for those of you who don't know, he is usually a very slim person. But in this film, he was in a fat suit. And to begin with, me and Clank Zoka were sort of wondering if he actually had gained weight for this role, or if he was indeed wearing fat suit. And as it turns out, he was in a fat suit. So there we go. I will say it doesn't rely on CGI a lot. There are moments where it feels like it could be a CGI sort of thing, but it doesn't use CGI too much, which is good. Some films are just too heavily reliant on them, I feel, and it kind of loses the quality of them and all that. And throughout the whole film, I get this sort of vibe that there will be a point where one of these characters might die in the end. And I'm not going to say too much as to what happens actually in the end. But I just get this vibe because usually these sorts of films, when you see these two people who are very much got the chemistry, got good chemistry, and they're very romantic and everything, you know something big's about to go down later down the line, but then it just doesn't for a while. But you do sort of get that feeling that something is going to happen, but it just never does happen. And I certainly got that with this film. And in the end, it's not really clear as to whether both characters do indeed die or not. But I won't say too much to give it away and all that. The soundtrack in the film is really good as well. It's got some well-known tracks and some not so well-known tracks, and the theme that the film plays, it's kind of nice. It's a nice sort of pleasant theme, and it's usually played when these two characters sort of are having a close bond. They're sort of having those moments in bed and so forth. But my favorite version of it is towards the end, where it's very, very distorted to the point where you don't even know if it even is the same theme or not. It's distorted, but you can still sort of get the sense that it is definitely that theme. So yeah, this is definitely going to be one of those films that's going to win awards for Daniel Craig and everybody else that's involved in the film. At least I like to hope so, because it's made by the same distributor that made The Substance. You already know my opinions on that. It's not as messed up as The Substance, but it does have a few messed up moments, just not as much. It's very much focused on the love story between these two characters that we see. And with respect to both Daniel Craig and the actor that plays Eugene, they're both well built. Like, Daniel Craig still maintains his muscular build that he had when he was playing James Bond, and obviously the character he plays in the Knives Out films. And the guy playing Eugene, I found out he's actually a couple of years younger than me, and yeah, he's got a good build as well, to be fair. But I do kind of feel attracted to him because of that particular build. So yeah. The first time they do actually do it, it's we don't really see them both get naked completely. It's more Eugene gets naked over Daniel Craig's character. They just, yeah. But then as the film goes on, it kind of feels like that same thing. It's usually Eugene gets naked, but Daniel Craig doesn't. But then there are times where Daniel Craig does get naked and Eugene also gets naked and all that. But most of the time it's Eugene. That's the character Eugene. That's the one that shows off his stuff more. Which anybody that's into men or attracted to men of that particular build, you're gonna love it. So yeah. Another thing I will say about this film, very ballsy name. Like, a film name for a title called Queer, obviously it's going to raise a lot of questions, especially for the youngins, and it's obviously not going to be seen or will be well received in countries where LGBTQ plus people are not recognised. I don't want to give away names. You probably are all familiar with a certain country that keeps blocking my stuff on YouTube. Russia. But yeah, it's a lovely film. Do give it a watch if you're curious about your sexuality, or you just like to see two men get at it. Yeah, it doesn't follow any particular tropes as far as I know when it comes to romantic dramas. I might follow some, but it's very difficult to sort of find any tropes that it does follow. But yeah, lovely film, very, very good watch. I'm going to give it 4 stars because it's a lovely film. It's just that the messed up bits came out of nowhere. Like, there was no pre-warning for them or anything. And I think the only other reason why I wouldn't give it 5 stars is because of the subject matter, and that it's one of those films where you actually really need to sort of sit down and focus on, because it does have a few moments where there is some quiet times and moments where the sort of messed up bits are taking too long and it's kind of drag a bit. But it's usually for these sorts of films it's okay, because sometimes you just want to sort of take a deep breath into these films. Lots of films just spend way too long explaining stuff and cramming too much stuff and make it rush and everything. Whereas this just takes its time. And even though it is like 2 and a bit hours, it definitely does take its time with those 2 and a bit hours that you see. So yeah, so that's my review of Queer. Obviously, leave your thoughts in the comments below, whether they are these days. I'd love to hear what you think about the film. I know I've not said that in a long time in these vlog videos, but yeah, I do actually mean what I say. That do feel free to leave a comment. I'm not gonna judge or anything. If you don't like it, don't like it. If you like it, you like it. If you're not too sure about it, fine. You know, no judgment from me, so don't worry about that. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos. I upload videos at various times daily in the BST/GMT time zone. So I do film reviews like this, as well as other kinds of vlogs where I talk about things that are interesting to me, which is usually a lot of stuff that's in pop culture. I also talk about things going on in my life, and I also do hauls as well. In addition to that, if you're a gamer, I also do gameplay videos. So I do straight up gameplay videos where it's just gameplay, nothing else, with some editing and memes thrown in for good measure. Let's play videos where you hear my voice or you see me talk as I play the game. If you're familiar with Let's Plays, you'll know what that's all about. Excuse me. And I also do shorts celebrating birthdays and anniversaries of things and people that I like. So that's what I do. I also do occasional polls as well, but yeah, that's mainly what I do. And if you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to share with your pals, do so. If you want to leave a comment, do so. See you in the next one. Peace to you all. And remember, it's okay if you want to be different to everybody else. If you feel you're not too sure if you're heterosexual, or otherwise straight, or you're into the same sex or both sexes, genders, whatever. You know, don't be afraid to come out and reveal yourself to the world. By which I mean reveal your sexuality, not actually reveal yourself like I do on occasion. So yeah, just be yourself, accept what you are, and just enjoy life, because life's not worth living if you cannot love yourself. So yeah, all right, toodles.
Yeah, you fucking queers!